For Rue's closet, I'm using the colors black and gold because those are the colors I wanted to use for his room. I have some things that are not shown here that we're going to need as well, and I'll list them in the description below. But I got 3 packs of these 2 wooden knobs that we're going to use to replace the current knobs on the dresser, and we're going to spray paint them. And with that comes with screws, so we're going to need screwdrivers. So I have the electrical kind and the manual kind. I preferred the electrical, but you can use either one. I just wanted to make sure I had both, so just in case one worked better than the other. And also you're gonna need string and a hammer and some nails. I have this E6000 glue to help secure the knobs when we put them on, and also to help with the stool. And then this painter's tape is for edging out the dresser so that when we're spray painting it, the paint is going to the right places. So first we're going to start by removing these knobs. Just remember, when unscrewing these, it's lefty-loosey and righty-tighty. This is when unscrewing got fun. I'm a whole mess. These handles right here have screws that are hidden behind the mirror. So I'm going to have to pop the mirror out and put it back in to get the screws out. First, remove the ribbons so that you have better access to the mirror. The top ribbon is tied on a little bit tighter, so I'm using jewelry clippers to cut it out, or you can just use scissors if that's what you have available. Either way works. My video died during this part, but I'm using a flat-headed screwdriver to pry out that mirror, and just be gentle to make sure it doesn't crack. Moving on into painting, we're starting with the black spray paint first because that's what we're going to use to cover the entire base of the closet, and also make sure that you have a mask to make sure you're protecting yourself against the fumes and from inhaling those particles. I'm focusing the paint more so on the outer perimeters of this closet because the pink panels, I'm going to actually paint those gold, so they don't need to be fully coated in black. Also, I'm painting in my garage because it was dark when I did this, and I am not a friend of mosquitoes. I always recommend painting outside, but if it's dark like it was for me, and you're going to paint in your garage, make sure your garage doors are halfway open so that the fumes are escaping and not trapping inside of your garage. So now we're going to spray paint the handles for the closet. So this is the result after letting that black paint set and dry overnight. So the next part is going to be lining the edges of this to spray paint the inner parts of the panel gold. So we're going to use that blue tape to line the edges really well. Also, please excuse my little plumber's crack. You know, I really don't know what was going on that morning. And my hair is wet because I felt like it was dry, which it was, as you can see in the initial part of this video. So I washed it and put some leave-in conditioner in it, which is that white residue that you're seeing right now, and why my shoulders are extremely wet. I promise it's not sweat, it's just wet hair. You'll see me pulling off little pieces of tape. That's just to fill in any little loose holes that I see to make sure that the lines are going to be crisp and even when I spray paint it gold. I'm adding some simple printer paper to the top just to help protect the top of the dresser from getting any gold spray paint on it, and I'm going to secure it down with some of the same blue tape that we were using to edge the dresser. When you begin spray painting, be careful not to get any of the gold spray paint on the sides of the dresser. It may be beneficial to use some of that copy paper and tape it down on the sides as well, just for added protection. Now we're going to peel off the tape and the copy paper gently and very carefully so that you don't accidentally put any dents in the wet spray paint. So I'm just pulling it down gently by the edges and making sure that I'm not touching anything that's gold. We let it set and dry overnight, and this is the final result after painting. Now we're going to start putting the knobs on, so you're going to need nails and a hammer and the E6000 glue. After putting E6000 glue on the handle, you're going to place it over the hole of where the other handle used to be. And then we're going to take a nail and actually place it in that hole on the other side. And that's going to help add extra security. So we're going to kind of hammer that through, but gently, because if you hammer it too hard, the handle will pop off on the other side. And we don't want that. We just want to place it in the hole and basically just glue it on the inside of that hole, if that makes sense. If that wasn't clear, don't worry, I got you. I'll show you again. So I'm literally just gluing the handle, placing it over that hole, and then placing a nail in the middle of that hole. Now, it doesn't always need to be hammered. Sometimes you can just place it in there and it will just go in there very easily. Just make sure that the hole aligns with the hole in the handle and that you're holding the handle on the other side so that when you do hit it with a hammer, it's not popping out or coming off. Initially, I did try to use the screws that come with the handles, but the screws were too long. So when I tried to screw them into the handles on the dresser, it would not secure because the dresser was thinner than what a regular size closet or cabinet would have been. So it was basically flopping on there and it was not secure. So I had to think of an alternative, and this was the next best thing. Now that the handles are on, I'm just going to wipe up any excess globs of glue that may have spread out when placing them on. Now use the E6000 glue to place the mirror back in its original slot. Alright, now that the bigger parts of the closet are done, we're moving on to the inside. For the vanity mirror where those pink ribbons were, I am using a gold chain just because I think I liked the way that looked. So I used that, and I'm using a skinnier piece of the chain to thread through and securing it with a washer at the bottom, and I'm using jewelry clasps to kind of help with that process. And I'm using that string that I mentioned at the beginning to wrap it around the screw that's at the top of that vanity to secure it in place. And this is just a better demonstration of that. So this is the smaller chain that I'm putting on, and that's what I'll thread through that base hole. And then I'm clasping it with a bigger, I called it a washer, but I guess chain link on the end so that it doesn't slide back through. So after threading it through, I'm gonna go and take out any excess of that skinnier chain and then add on that chain, the bigger chain link, so that it's secured onto the base and not sliding back out. And voila, just like that, the vanity is done. Now we're moving on into the vanity stool. So I'm taking off of that pink fabric that was on the stool, and I have a black pillowcase that I'm going to use as my fabric covering. Now this part is completely optional. You can just opt to get rid of the stool completely because of course our dogs are not going to use it. But if you're like me and you're extra, you're going to want to keep it. So I'm literally just following the outside perimeter of the cushion part of the stool and cutting out what I feel is a accurate amount of cloth. Now I am no designer and I'm not a clothes maker, so I'm really not sure. I'm pretty much winging this, and I'm just cutting out a square that I think will fit around the top part of this stool. So now we're going to grab our E6000 glue again to secure that black piece of cloth down onto our stool. Now I know that there's probably a million better different ways to do this, but I'm not sure how to do them just yet, and I was tired, so maybe one day I'll take the time to learn, you know, I'm like maybe like a drawstring method of like threading it through and like securing it on that way. But yeah, this was the easiest way for me, so I'm just spreading that E6000 glue all over that cushion piece, and I'm gonna put the fabric on top of that. So you want to smooth your fabric down to the best that you can, and I am tucking it into the edges of the stool where the cushion and the wood part meet. So you're just gonna keep that process up and smooth and tuck. You even use some scissors to kind of help tuck it in as well to make sure like the edges are really smooth. I had to get all that glue off my fingers. Rubbing them together helps. So now I'm bringing back that gold chain to tie in my stool with my vanity. And I'm just going to outline the perimeter of my stool with the gold chain using the E6000 glue again. Keep the focus and concentration, ignore the toes. And that completes our closet. If you decide to recreate this design for yourself, your child, or your puppy, please tag me at hashtag creating enchanted designs. And you can also follow me at create enchanted designs on Instagram or my personal account, goddess__Isis. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.